Hello, everyone, and a really warm welcome back. This is Season 6, Episode 4 of the LexTalk podcast.
It's great to be back.
We're so glad to have all of you with us, our listeners, followers, everyone tuning in. Today, we're diving into something called Corpus Linguistics.
That's right. It sounds maybe a bit technical, but honestly, it's a really powerful idea for anyone involved in English language learning or teaching.
Definitely. We're going to unpack how looking at, well, tons of real-world English can actually change how we teach and understand things like vocabulary and grammar.
Yeah, it's about seeing English as it's actually used,
Yeah.
which is super helpful for educators, parents helping out with homework, or really anyone just fascinated by the language.
Absolutely. And hey, before we get stuck in, just a quick reminder, do follow LexTalk wherever you get your podcasts or social media.
Yep, find us on the website, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, SoundCloud, Spotify.
Just search for @LexTalk Podcast. Easy as that.
So our goal today really is to break down what corpus linguistics is and show you why it's so useful. Think of it as a kind of shortcut to understanding authentic everyday English.
Okay, let's start there then. Corpus linguistics. What is a corpus exactly?
Okay, so imagine like a massive digital library, but instead of just books, it's filled with all sorts of real English.
Like articles, websites?
Articles, websites, transcripts of conversations, social media, you name it. A huge, searchable collection of authentic language use. That's the corpus.
Gotcha. So a giant database of real English.
Exactly. And corpus linguistics is basically the study of that database.
Hmm.
It's looking for patterns, seeing how often words or grammar structures appear, how things are actually used in real life.
Ah, okay. So it's different from, say, just looking at a grammar rule in a textbook.
Very different in a way. Textbooks sometimes give you rules or examples that might be grammatically correct, but maybe not that common or perhaps a bit outdated. Corpus linguistics shows you what people actually say and write frequently.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Think about deciding something. You could say, make a decision or take a decision. Both seem okay, right?
Yeah, they sound fine to me.
But if you search a large corpus, like COCA, the Corpus of Contemporary American English, you'll find make a decision is vastly more common, like hugely more frequent.
Ah, I see. So the corpus data tells you make a decision is the more typical choice.
Precisely. It gives you evidence about common usage. It's descriptive, not just prescriptive.
That makes a lot of sense. So how does this translate into the classroom? Why should teachers or, parents here in Thailand care about this?
Oh, it's incredibly relevant.
Hmm.
Let's take vocabulary first. Corpora help us identify the most frequent words in English.
The ones people use all the time.
Exactly. So if you're teaching, you can focus learners' energy on the words they're most likely to actually encounter and need. It's about maximizing the learning impact.
Right. Spending time on high-frequency words makes more sense than learning obscure ones you rarely hear.
Totally. And it's the same for grammar. Corpora show us which grammatical structures are common in everyday communication.
So you teach the grammar people actually use?
Yeah, you focus on the patterns that matter for communication rather than getting bogged down in maybe less common or really complex rules that don't appear much in normal conversation or writing.
And you mentioned collocations earlier, words that often go together, like strong coffee, not just strong, and coffee separately.
Yes, corporas are brilliant for this. They highlight these natural word partnerships. Strong coffee, do homework, heavy rain, make a mistake.
Hmm.
Understanding these chunks is vital for sounding natural. Learners often struggle because they put words together that are grammatically okay, but just sound off.
Because native speakers wouldn't usually combine them that way.
Exactly. Corpora show you the common natural combinations. It shifts the focus from just memorizing word lists.
To understanding how words actually work together in phrases.
Precisely. Using words in realistic phrases and contexts. That's the goal.
This sounds incredibly useful. So where can teachers or interested learners actually find these corporas? Are they hard to use?
Good question. There are some fantastic tools out there, and many are accessible. COCA, which I mentioned, the Corpus of Contemporary American English, is a big one.
Okay.
Then there's the BNC, the British National Corpus for British English. These are huge databases you can search online.
So you just type in a word and see how it's used.
Pretty much. You can see its frequency, the words it typically appears with its collocates, and the types of texts it appears in, like spoken, fiction, academic. There are also tools designed specifically for learners, like SKELL,
SKELL.
Sketch Engine for language learning. It presents corpus information in a really user-friendly way, showing example sentences, collocations, and related words. It's quite neat.
Okay, COCA, BNC, SKELL. What about pronunciation? Someone mentioned Youglish.com.
Youglish is fantastic. It's slightly different. It searches YouTube videos. You type in a word or phrase.
And it finds videos where people say it.
Exactly. It pulls up clips cued right to the moment the word is spoken. It's amazing for hearing pronunciation in natural context with different accents and seeing how phrases are used in real speech.
Wow, that's powerful, being able to hear it used naturally.
It really is. So teachers can use these tools for all sorts of things.
Hmm.
You could have students investigate a word like problem.
Okay.
Ask them, what verbs usually go with problem? Do people more often solve a problem, face a problem, have a problem, tackle a problem? They can search a corpus and find out based on frequency.
So the students become language detectives.
Exactly. Or they could find the most common prepositions after an adjective, like interested in, good at. It makes learning active.
Yeah, much more engaging than just being told the answer.
And the teacher can use these findings to create better materials, gap fills that use common collocations, writing tasks that encourage natural phrasing, reading texts that reflect real usage.
So moving beyond just textbook exercises, what are some key teaching tips if someone wants to start using this corpus-informed approach?
Well, a big one is to prioritize teaching language as it's actually used. Focus on the common patterns you see in the corpus, maybe even if they slightly contradict a very strict grammar rule sometimes taught.
So practicality over rigid rules.
To an extent, yes. Focus on communicative effectiveness based on real usage. Another key thing is teaching language in chunks.
Those collocations and phrases again?
Yes. Instead of just lists of single words, teach common phrases, fixed expressions, sentence starters. It helps build fluency faster.
And you mentioned getting students involved in discovery.
Absolutely. Encourage them to explore. Give them questions. What are 5 common adjectives used with opportunity? And let them use a tool like SKELL or COCA to find the answers. It sticks much better when they discover it themselves.
I like that. Empowering learners. What are the overall benefits for the student then?
You generally see improvement across the board. Their writing sounds more natural. Their speaking becomes more fluent because they're using these ready-made chunks. Their vocabulary knowledge gets deeper because they understand context and collocation.
It sounds much more holistic. You mentioned a corpus scavenger hunt. How would that work?
Oh yeah, that's a fun one.
Yeah.
You could assign pairs or small groups, a specific word, maybe a verb like provide.
Okay.
Their task is to use a corpus tool to find, say, 5 common nouns that provide collocates with, like provide support, provide information, provide evidence.
Right.
Then they may write sentences, present their findings. It makes grappling with the data interactive and hopefully enjoyable.
That sounds like a great classroom activity. Now, thinking about the bigger picture, how did this whole approach come about? Is it linked to theories about how we learn language?
Yeah, definitely. It ties into what are called usage-based theories of language acquisition.
Usage-based.
The basic idea is that we learn language structures, grammar, vocabulary, everything by being exposed to it and using it.
Mm-hmm.
The more often we hear or read a particular pattern in a meaningful context, the stronger that pattern becomes in our minds.
So learning through exposure and repetition of real language?
Exactly. And corpora are basically massive collections of that real language exposure. Concepts like frequency, how often something occurs, are key. Things you encounter frequently are more likely to be learned and remembered. Corpus data lets us see that frequency clearly.
It makes intuitive sense, doesn't it? You learn what you hear often.
It does. And this approach contrasts with older, perhaps more prescriptive methods that relied heavily on abstract rules, or maybe just the teacher's intuition, which isn't always accurate about frequency.
Right.
Corpus linguistics provides evidence. It's descriptive, describing how language is used, rather than just prescriptive, saying how it should be used according to a specific set of rules.
A shift from rules to reality based on data.
You can put it that way, yeah. And that shift has really practical classroom applications beyond just vocabulary and basic grammar.
Like what?
While findings from corpora can help teachers choose better, more authentic teaching materials, readings, listenings that actually reflect real-world language, use suitable for their students' level.
Instead of simplified or artificial textbook dialogues?
Exactly. And we keep coming back to it, but teaching phraseology, those collocations, chunks, formulaic sequences, is so important, and corpora are the best resource for identifying them. Frequency lists derived from corpora help make principled choices about what vocabulary to focus on.
Takes the guesswork out.
Right. And for grammar, analyzing learner corpora collections of language produced by students can show teachers common error patterns.
Ah, so you can see where students typically struggle.
Like precisely. It helps tailor teaching to address those specific common difficulties. And don't forget spoken language.
Right, pronunciation and flow.
Spoken corpora, transcripts of real conversations, help us understand features of spoken grammar, intonation patterns, even pragmatic things like how people manage turns in conversation, how they express politeness, things that are hard to get from written text alone.
So it helps teach conversational skills too.
Absolutely. And finally, writing instruction. Analyzing corpora of different types of writing, emails, essays, reports, helps learners understand the typical language used in those genres. You can even compare native speaker writing with learner writing to pinpoint areas for improvement.
Wow, it really does cover a lot of ground. It seems Corpus Linguistics is much more than just a research tool. It's a practical toolkit for teachers and learners.
It really is. It kind of bridges that gap we sometimes see between the English in textbooks and the English used all around us every day. It offers this data-driven way to make teaching and learning more effective, more authentic.
Well, this has been genuinely fascinating, a real eye-opener into the power of language data.
Glad you found it useful.
So, looking ahead, our next deep dive, episode 5, is going to explore language identity. We'll be asking, do we speak differently depending on the situation or who we're talking to? And how does language shape who we are?
Ooh, that sounds like a great topic too. Very relevant.
It should be really interesting. Before we sign off for today, we really want to encourage you, our listeners, maybe try dipping your toes into one of those corpus tools we mentioned.
Yeah, just pick a word you're curious about, maybe put it into SKELL or Youglish, and just see what comes up. It can be quite revealing. Let us know what you find.
We'd love that. Share your discoveries with us. And please don't forget to follow LexTalk on all the platforms, website, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, SoundCloud, Spotify. The handle is @LexTalkPodcast.
Subscribe, keep listening, and stay curious about language.
Until next time, let's talk, let's learn, let's Lex Talk.